This episode of We Like Shooting Double Tap is brought to you by the Sonoran Desert Institute, Bowers Group, Franklin Armory, and the Patriot Patch Company.
Wow. Are you drunk? Welcome to We Like Shooting Double Tap, episode 154, where we answer your questions, ask a few of our own, and touch base on gun industry news. Our panel tonight is the owner of Rivers Edge Tactical, Jeremy Paz Derek. We got the Machine Gun Moses, Aaron Krieger checking in, our very own Nick Lynch. My name is Sean Heron, and I want to welcome you all to the show. All right, Aaron. So you been drinking or what?
Every day.
All right. We've been bringing guests on the show. Like, we just basically invite our buddies and kind of see what they're up to, and just have them come hang out with us. No like crazy interviews or anything like that. So I do want to welcome one of our good real life friends, formerly of JCAA Ammunition. His name is Chris Aronson. What's up, buddy?
How's it going, man? Good to be back. Good to see you guys.
Good to have you, man. You're sitting out there. It looks like beautiful weather.
Yeah, finally. Snow melted last week here in Minnesota, and
I hear. What is that, like a fox?
Getting back to the intro and the caveat about the children, profanity, and parents.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, parents. You'll send your kids off to get by the priest, but you'll not want them to watch the show. Like, I don't understand the logic here.
Well,
yeah. I mean, that's.
Let's just get right into it.
Let's get right to the deep questions.
I haven't been on for a while, so tonight's going to get a little real.
Wait. There's a place we can send our kids to get.
Oh, shit. Yeah, apparently it's school now. So one of the guys in the cantina there, he had pointed out a fact that, yeah, the Catholic Church really isn't that bad. You should Google some teacher sex. Holy. It's like for every 45,000 students, there's like 4,000 cases of kid touching.
Are the teachers hot, though? I think that's what the real question is.
That's an anomaly, I think. I think we only get the hot ones on the news. They keep the ugly ones hidden.
Yeah, they don't press charges against them because no one wants to see that.
They're like, ooh, uggo.
Nobody will admit to it. You're high-fiving all your buddies when the teacher's hot.
There's a cardinal somewhere whose job is just to look at the photos and decide if they're an uggo and can go on, or if they can go on in the news.
Oh God, that's awful. Hey, before we get too far off base here, let's do an ad read. All right, first up, we're going to talk about Bowers Group. Been shooting the cans a lot lately and fallen in love with a lot of the cans. I think War Dog's got to be one of my favorite ones just because it's so tiny.
Yeah.
And, everyone's trying to build like those tiny-ass little pistol caliber carbines, and the War Dog just kind of fits on those.
So well.
Sorry, I just coughed on your arm. You got Rona.
Yeah.
Wow, there's a lot of sharing going on over
He's
there.
just always like, let me cough towards you.
Yeah, but so War Dog's
there's a whole room to his right, but
yeah.
you,
Yeah.
right, Nick?
I just ate a whole bowl of vodka gummy bears, and
I don't understand the relevance.
yeah, well, that means I'm going to cough that direction because if I turn that way, I think I might throw up.
I still don't understand. Okay.
Anyway,
You do it when you haven't eaten vodka gummy bears.
that is true. That is true. So, excellent for 300 blackout. Excellent for 9mm sub guns. Apparently, just baller on an MP5. We need to get an MP5.
Yes.
Yeah.
By we, you mean I.
Yeah.
I need an MP5.
Sure.
I think we all need to get MP5s.
That is true. That is true. We need to figure that out.
But Chris, make it happen.
Agreed.
I just did a transfer on an SP5, and I was like, ooh.
I would take one of those for sure.
I would. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I could make it full auto.
Yeah. For one of those. Anyway, go check them out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Finish your ad read.
It's all good. BowersGroup.com.
When we come back to this, though, we have to talk Island Overthrow, and we'll circle back to MP5 for everybody.
Okay,
We'll start filibustering.
Technically, the United States is an island. Just saying.
Cans, lots of suppressors, and you can find them at BowersGroup.com. Coupon code WLS saves you money. And just reading the chat. Is everyone drunk already?
In there.
Here we go
Drunk
again.
on power.
Sean and lots of vodka.
Thank you for not coughing on me.
171 part 2. MP5 seem annoying and uncomfortable to me. What? No.
Yeah.
What?
You're
What?
Then you've never shot one.
clearly wrong.
Yeah,
Your ignorance is showing, sir.
slap yourself in the mouth. We'll wait.
He'll probably do it. I mean,
He's a neck kneeler.
All right, so let's get into the first little section here called Wacky Weapons. I changed the name, Aaron.
wacky.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about just like weird stuff. And what's the first episode or the first segment for us tonight?
Well, last week it was ballistic knives.
Yeah.
This week is the Apache revolver.
That's the knuckle duster thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's brass knuckles, a revolver, and a switchblade all built into one.
I mean, dude, it's like really all that you could ever hope for, all in one small package. Jeremy, clearly this is something that you would love.
I mean,
That's an immediate trip to the hospital for self-inflicted injuries.
Yeah, this thing.
the way that it's fucking curved, the knife and gun are pointing back at you when you're using them as brass knuckles, right?
Well, they would be pointing towards your buddy to the right, right? Because you're basically holding the cylinder in the palm of your hand with the knuckles on, and so if you were to hit that trigger,
Does it fold? Oh, it folds.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, it folds.
Okay, so I was because like I'm looking at it on the picture on the top right, and I'm like, well, if your hand's in there, that blade's like going down your arm.
Yeah, but how can you hit somebody in the face using those knuckles and not pull that trigger and shoot Nick?
Well, the trigger hinges up,
I mean,
so you'd be putting force on the trigger forward. When it's
Oh,
folded.
I see.
don't cock the hammer. I guess
Does it even have a hammer?
it's got to. It's a
Oh,
revolver.
yeah, it's a revolver. Yes. It looks like... Okay, well, that makes it look nice. The actual picture of it makes it look like it's slightly melted.
Yeah,
That whole cylinder thing just freaks me out. It doesn't even look like it's lined up.
and the way that the knife is as well just freaks me out a little bit.
I'm with Chris on this one. I think this looks like a really good way to hurt yourself in interesting ways.
Yeah,
But there's a key gun out there. Oh,
We'll talk about it next week.
Oh, okay. We're talking about key guns next week.
Why not?
All right, put it for next week.
yeah, dude. This thing
While we're
seems
talking about weird, like
this thing just seems terrifying to me. Like, although I want to shoot one so bad I can taste it.
You might be
No,
able to taste it if you do shoot it.
Those are the gummy bears. Hey.
I can see smells.
What is that
Sean,
material? Is
Sean,
that
don't
brass?
freak out, but there's a blade sticking out of your head.
Right,
Yeah, I can see smells. No, Sean, stay calm.
like in the
gonna get
hot
you
rod.
do you taste purple?
Yes, I do. The switchblade is a little bit terrifying as well.
Because it comes off the side. Like, it's weird how it
Yeah,
folds in.
like right there.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, traditional thumb grip, thumb's coming off.
Yeah, or if you're left-handed,
Yes.
that thing just stabs you
You
in
gotta
the
remember,
snuff
this
pouch.
thing was made in a time when two-handed shooting didn't exist.
C-clamp that thing.
I don't wanna.
Motherfucker, I can't even C-clamp a carbine AR without shooting the barrel like it was a pull cue.
Yeah,
Gotta admit, the knife on it looks like a Jared Noble Generation 1 blade.
Noble knives in the house. Yeah,
Oh,
dude.
yeah. He'll sponsor soon. He's coming around.
I actually have one on order. In fact, yeah, this is the Apache revolver. I want to shoot one, but you know what? I want to own one too. I can't even lie and say that I don't.
I mean, that trigger's never going to get hung up on anything either.
No. well, I figure you just turn the gun upside down and use the trigger to poke somebody's eye out.
It's actually built like a spoon, so you can just like gouge it right out.
Can I fold
Scoop it out?
Can I fold the blade down to 90 degrees and hang on to it like a foregrip?
Probably.
No, I think it goes like
For rapid
side
fire.
to side, not up and down.
See, Nick, here's the diagram.
Oh, so I can fold it sideways to 90 degrees.
Yeah, hold it like a sten.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, folding triggers was a like modification that a lot of older guns had. They would remove the trigger guard and then put a hinged trigger in there. Why? I don't know. Like, I forget why they did it, but that was like an 1880s modification to a gun.
I mean, there were a decent number of guns that were just made that way too.
There was a period of time when that was a thing.
It's like you fold it up, the trigger fits flat against the bottom of the frame, throw it in your pocket or whatever.
Yeah. I definitely I want to own one. I want to shoot one, but I don't ever want.
My favorite comment so far is, it looks like it's for suicides.
Oh,
A little bit. All right.
we're gonna touch on that tonight too.
Oh, yay.
Perfect. All right, that'll do it for Wacky Weapons.
Wacky.
All right,
I
so
like that sound effect, Nick. Thank you.
yeah, do it again.
Wacky.
Oh wait, let me do it with the music. Oh no.
Wacky.
That's good, man.
Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man.
What? That was really good. How much have you practiced that?
A lot.
Okay.
Too much.
I'm so confused. Anyway, this brings up Sonoran Desert Institute. Go check them out if you ever wanted or were interested in gunsmithing, stuff like that. They've got degree programs and just stuff that you can do. Like you could take the AR-15 mod if you're getting ready to do your first one and basically build one and learn it from the curriculum and cool stuff. So go check them out, sdi.edu. And I guess now it's time to do some questions.
Burn when you pee? Unsure about your relationship? Why can't you use 45 and a 9mm? Get your questions answered on hashtag DearWLS. Visit WeLikeShooting.com/DearWLS to submit your question.
All right. Let's see. I'll read the first one. Jack B says, what's the worst thing you ever did? Like, I want to hear some that would lower someone's opinion of you. Don't give us any statute of limitations because you're not under oath. And things you say on the show can't be used against you in court. Hopefully you're all drunk when you read this one. Yeah. Nick, why don't you start?
No.
Aaron? I mean, literally everything would lower someone's opinion of you, so you got a pretty broad field to choose from.
Yeah. No.
Jeremy?
I don't know what the worst thing I ever did, though. Like, isn't that subjective?
What's
Like, what I think is like, you know.
Yeah. I'm actually literally afraid to ask Chris.
Like, I put people in the hospital before. Like, is that like that could be like one of the worst things that I've ever done?
I've put people in the
Like,
hospital.
I'm pretty sure there's a couple people I'm probably really sure I've given brain damage to.
Like,
Yeah, but kids don't count.
I drove them to the ER and then helped them in, like put them in the hospital, you know?
Oh, yeah. I think the meanest thing I ever did was we had these friends when we were in junior high.
Is this the on top of the school story?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've told that, huh?
You've told that one.
Let's see. I'm laughing at Dustin's comment.
Yeah.
It's not the worst thing I've ever done, just the stupidest.
Oh my god! The worst thing she ever did was punch Sean in the.
What? we don't talk.
I don't know. He told me it was the best.
Man,
It
it took me a long time to get off that camp.
Oh, dude, good. It's a bad camp. It's like a Nazi prison camp. But yeah, I guess the
probably not that bad, but it's pretty bad. So we had a rugby tournament. So I played college rugby. So active duty military, came out, went to college, was in the reserves. Pretty responsible human being for the most part. Should have known a lot better. Out of town for a rugby tournament. All up. We're downtown in this river college town that rhymes with LaCroix. And we're coming out of this bar just stumbling drunk, just being and there's this really nice looking wedding party.
Oh, no.
And one of the guys, it must have been in between the wedding and the reception where they had gone out and had a few and then we're off to the venue. One of the guys had kind of basically asked us to tone it down a little bit. And one of the guys on the team ended up running up from the side and just smoked him. and he hits the ground. And his buddy bends over to see if he's okay. I've never played football in my life, but in that moment, I could have been an NFL punter. I got so square. I can still to this day hear the sound of my foot hitting this guy's head. I've never seen anybody flop over as hard as this guy did. And he flipped over, hit. There was so much blood coming out of his mouth all over his white tux. The girls are just screaming. One of the guys, this guy is extremely upstanding human being nowadays. Maybe an attorney.
Oh,
but
God.
Whipped his out right there and done.
Oh, Jesus.
And then we hear the cop cars coming. So we're running down this alley. We found a fire escape, like the old school metal ones that go up. So we climb up. We're on the roof of the building, like 50 feet down the road, looking over as the police come up and they're helping these people all up, and they got them off the street. So I probably ruined some girl's wedding day.
Yeah, because that dude was
some guy's life.
Yeah. I feel pretty bad about that one.
I'm just like, don't invite me to weddings if you don't want shit like that to happen.
Well, and to be fair, I mean, when you see 8 or 9 guys who we literally, so the rugby rule is you walk into a bar and you drop your pants and you stand there and you drink with your pants around your ankles and then you waddle out. So we had all walked out of the bar and we're in the street with our little tiny dicks out, pulling our pants up, and then we're hooting and hollering, just being stupid. And the bartender and one of the waitresses was kind of out on the step laughing with us, and we were having a good time. And this guy's like, "Oh, don't you guys think it's a little early to act like?" And Matt just boom 3-step this guy, and he just hit. His buddy leans over like, "Oh, are you okay?" And I was like, "Oh, that head needs a foot." Just boom. Oh yeah. So on my first security clearance, they were like, "Have you ever done it?" I'm like,
Did you have to explain that?
Like, I asked.
Nothing you can prove.
I just said, well, I said, I've done a couple of things that I'm not exactly happy about. It's never come back to bit me, but like, could this affect me? And they're like, oh.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's like when I joined the military and they asked me if I'd ever had any injuries or anything. Like, I only told them the ones that I actually went to the hospital for.
my last trip to MEPS. So I think Sean and Nick have seen it, and I have a couple of scars on my body that are over 20 inches long. And my last trip, they sent me to South Dakota because the Minnesota MEPS is a lot more strict. And the guy goes, "So what happened there?" I'm like, "Fell." He's like, "What'd you fall on?" I'm like, "A fence?" And he's like, "But that looks like a gunshot wound." I'm like, "It was a fence, sir." And I was trying to keep government and military parallel. Well, that one came back to bite me in the ass. So like 3 days later, he's like, so the fence was in the Pakistani region of the tribal lands of Wanat? I'm like, oh. So that wasn't a smart move.
I'm just imagining that scene from Fight Club where they go to the doctor, and the doctor's like, "What happened?" And he looks over at Tyler, and Tyler's like, "Fell down the stairs." And he's like, "I fell down the stairs." Chris just looks over at his imaginary friend.
There was no reason for me to really. Again, the military wasn't going to keep me out for an injury that happened while I was working for the government because I was still in. So I had a 1-year break in service, and I had to go back through MEPS when I came back in.
Oh,
and but I was still employed with the government, and there's no way they were not going to find out. It was just one of those things where it's kind of like, oh, should I say something? And then it was like, then I got so far into it, it was like, yeah.
Well, when I had to do a voice stress analysis for the Nashville PD, they're like, "Did you ever steal anything?" And,
Aaron was like, "Have I ever not stolen anything?"
So, I didn't lie. I'm like, "I once stole a stapler." And they're like, "Oh, that's no big deal." And then they let it go. That was I mean, I didn't lie.
Wow.
I once stole a Snickers bar from my grandmother's cupboard.
Right. So if you answer the question that you want to answer from the question that they ask, then you're fine.
Aaron,
I guess I didn't lie.
There's a joke. So when my daughter was born, there's like this little questionnaire that the county gives you that you have to actually fill out, or they won't issue a birth certificate. And they basically hold your kid at ransom, the birth certificate at ransom, so you fill this form out. But they ask all these all these questions for like statistics, and it's like, were you married when the child was conceived? Were you married when the child was born? Blah, and it's like this whole list. Well, they answered both those questions with yes, but they did not specify to who.
That's fair.
It's fair. It's the difference between honesty and telling the truth.
Yeah.
Like, technically, I honestly answered the question. I just didn't tell the truth.
And that's why no one will ever bet with me anymore. Well, because I understand the difference between, the rules and what's not the rules.
The last year, Nick and Sean, I think you're aware that last year I did some interviewing with some sheriff departments down south, and they're very intrusive. A lot of polygraphs, a lot of stuff that, and I'm sitting there and they're filling out questionnaires before the polygraphs, and it's, if I want to be honest about some aspects of my job as a human intelligence case officer, I mean, there were some times where I was basically a criminal. And, like, how do you answer some of that stuff? Because, what the scope of your job is overseas or in that role is a lot different from a civilian law enforcement standard. And again, it's one of those things where you have to kind of stop and pull aside and, hey, how are we going to, address a situation of this nature? And you're sitting there and you're having to fucking explain, like, okay, so in this scenario, I may or may not have helped 15 or 20 planes of heroin leave a certain region of the world. Like,
what is the statute of limitations here?
Wait, so are we talking like Air America?
In Minecraft?
Oh, God, no. Oh, Jesus Christ. Air America. No.
He's like, no, actual cool.
Dude, I've never done anything cool in my life. I got a paper cut once when working for the agency.
So this one time in Nicaragua,
I got this awful cardboard cut.
It's the worst.
But again, it's like you think about some of the that we've done overseas, trunks of money paying off Afghan villagers to give us supply route information coming in and out of in and out of Pakistan, and in the that we were doing over there. Like, what's the difference? You come back here and you're slaving your ass away. You start a company, you're trying to build it, you're struggling. Dude, I can't even tell you in 2019 how many times it was like, man, I know people in Venezuela. I have strong contacts. I have an aviation background. Let's start shipping ammunition down to Venezuela. Let's keep this company alive. And then, in the old kind of have a couple cocktails with my ex-SF friends and some ex-government friends. And it's like, you know what? It would take us a year to set up enough people in a small tropical island and then just start flying in enough guns and ammo to where we can overthrow that. And then we just say, listen, we're not here to hurt you. We're going to give you jobs. We're going to create industry, but we're going to turn this island into one big gun and ammunition manufacturing paradise. And then we're going to ship all around the world. Because what the is the difference?
So, when can I start? Like, do I need to submit a resume? Where do I fill out the application?
Like, what is the actual repercussion of that? Like, I mean, can we overthrow a fucking sovereign nation as independent?
Filibustering.
We're not coming from a country. We're just.
There's only a repercussion if you lose.
Can you hand me the whiskey, please, Nick?
Yeah,
thanks.
You should look up filibustering if you're not familiar with it. It's a thing that Americans did for a while.
Look,
and
what was that Frenchman's name?
Sometimes like pretty much every time it went pretty poorly.
Guy Ledouche.
I have no doubt in my mind. You take people with an SF background, a majority of their career spent going into in the nation, third world for my Trump fans. God, I hate that guy. But they
so
go
many
in, they
comments.
act as advisors, they train people to overthrow their own governments. I can spool up enough people with those talents to where we can train enough people and we can do some damage.
There's there's a French mercenary, Bob Denard. He overthrew a small African nation like 4 times. And he also 4 times. 4 times for fun. He put a guy in power, then he didn't like that guy, so he put the original guy back in power. So he said, F that guy, put a different guy.
Didn't things end really poorly for him?
Well, he got arrested by the French after trying to assassinate their prime minister, but he only spent like 6 months in jail. And then he got out, went and did it again, and then they went to... His life story could be a movie. It's great.
All right, so tropical island, palm trees, natives typically don't get too violent. Africa, they don't around. I've been down there. They don't play.
Really? I thought they played soccer.
What about the natives in Antarctica? I hear they're pretty docile.
Yeah. I want, like, Grand Cayman.
Who doesn't? But you're thinking too big. Try,
what if we just up Tortuga? Pirate's life for me.
Okay, I guess.
Yeah, go take Wakanda. Call me later.
Wakanda forever.
Obviously, we're, this is for laughs. Like, kind of.
Well, you already have me. I'm already signed up. All right, I'm in.
I don't want no sister wife. I don't want nobody's money. I don't want nobody. I just want to be left the alone. I don't want a government entity coming in and telling me I got to ruin my life and my business over some flu virus. Listen, at any point in time, the Earth, when it decides to, it'll the rug on us, and there ain't nothing we can do. We're sitting here fighting this like we have a chance. Let it play out. The 3 to 8% of people at risk, they're the who should be sheltering in place and sitting at their house. The only thing the government should be doing right now is giving us clear and concise factual information about what the virus is, how it spreads, what we can do to minimize it to the people at risk, and you all be the best humans you can be. And the reason that people don't want to see that happen is because people suck. We'll be murdering old people by coughing on them left and right.
I just want to be the bad guy from Delta Force 2. Like, I just want a linen suit. I want to ride around my plantation on a horse. Like, is that too much to ask?
You can't have a plantation, dude. You neck dealer.
Why can't I have a plantation?
What would you plant there in your plantation?
I don't know.
Besides linen, apparently, for your clothing.
Yeah, coffee and linen.
Working farm.
It's a co-op, and I'm the only owner.
Okay.
There's enough. Dude, I was getting mad. I got a haircut today, and I was getting mad screaming about sitting in the chair. I'm like, why did everybody follow the government blindly? It's pissing me the off.
You should see the back of his head, because he was getting all mad and animated while they were trying to cut. So,
Aaron, it is pretty scary to see how quickly people are like, oh, we can't do this? Okay.
It is. The thing that freaks me out the most is how quickly people are like, oh, I'm making so much money on unemployment that I'm turning down the job that I was supposed to go back to.
Yeah, so how is that supposed to work? Like, because that's not how unemployment works.
And the employers, because if you're like, nah, I don't really want to come back. I don't have childcare. I don't have this. I don't have that. And you're making up excuses, delaying coming back because you're collecting an extra $600. The employer, if they fire you and hire somebody else, and then down the road you decide to come back, you can sue them.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know, Aaron. I'm pretty sure I saw you put your finger in that cat's hole.
Not today.
Was it moist?
Oh God, I did that by accident.
Did you really? I never put my finger in any orifice of any animal.
I woke
except
up,
their mouth, maybe.
I woke up and went to readjust, and I poked the cat in the hole, and almost threw up. I dry heaved and had to run for the bathroom to wash my hands.
I tried my damnedest to convince an interpreter that it was socially acceptable to go. I worked on that for over 2 months.
He's like, you don't even have to tell me, buddy.
Yeah, it wasn't even. It was an interpreter in the U.S., so it's weird.
Oh, that is weird.
He's like, here comes that fucking Chris guy
Here's your
again.
English interpreter from North Branch.
He's also.
You ever noticed how pink and glistening a sheep's he is?
No.
Next time you see a sheep, just look at it. It's actually pretty inviting.
No. No. Well, I guess now that's the worst things we've ever done in detail. Aaron, take the next question.
I mean, I've been shoulder deep in a cow, but that was for medical purposes.
She was asking for it.
Oh no, I was trying to feel. I was seeing if the calf was breech or not.
You should have seen what she was wearing.
One of them polka dot things.
Yeah.
I was 12. Somebody arrest that guy.
Oh man! Speaking of rugby and calves, the rugby house that we used to have, they had a fucking meat scale in the hallway when you would come in, and they would weigh the chicks.
That's amazing, actually. Will she fit in a canoe?
Oh man!
Next question, Aaron.
I'm so enthralled with this conversation, I kind of don't want it to end. All right, next question from Dustin R. Hey, guys. At my local gun store, they have a CZ527 Royal in 223. The story is that the shipment of Royals came through into 2005 SHOT Show and were never meant for the U.S. market. Is this true? Also, the CZ has a set trigger. Any experience with that? Jarambi is best. Action track chair. I don't know what action track chair is.
I don't either.
Did I miss something when my power went out the other day?
Action track chair.
Oh yeah, Aaron, it was a whole thing. We all laughed. We're so much closer now because of it. We really bonded over the action track chair. You missed out.
So I don't think I really did, because that night when the power went out, I went to bed early and I woke up refreshed. Unlike tonight.
Yeah. I've never seen one, but they look pretty nice. It's just a bolt action CZ.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about. I thought you were still talking about the action track chair.
No,
I don't know, but they look nice.
You said you've never seen one.
Good.
no, I'm sorry. I've never messed with one. I've seen one. I've seen pictures of one.
Of Royal?
Yeah, they're pretty.
Oh, they're pretty.
Also, it has a set trigger. Any experience with that?
Don't they all? All the ones I've shot had a set trigger.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which is very nice.
Yeah, it's
It's
pretty
a nice
cool.
thing to have.
They go for like 620, 650, something like that. I looked it up earlier.
Oh, that's how you'd seen them.
Yeah.
Look at you come prepared to the show.
I read the show notes ahead of time, guys. I know.
Buy 'em
Dude,
all.
I don't even read the show notes, and I write them.
I know. Adulting Donnie said, all right, if I want something to listen to in 30 days when Aaron posts this episode, I got to bounce. Good night, fellas. Don't we publish Thursday and Sunday?
That's true, we do.
All right. That's what I thought.
Donnie's just living in the
They always
past.
find a reason to complain, don't they?
Everybody.
They do.
Yep.
Everybody.
Man,
Everybody complains. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can relate. I want to choke people out just about every single day.
speaking of complaints and that fantastic Swamp Fox shirt.
Yeah?
No,
Do
I
it.
don't have a complaint actually. So, somebody in the comments section had brought up the shirt. One of the things I wanted to touch on tonight was
It's Sean's long.
Big moves.
they're not that fucking small, or Aaron. I seen them. We spent the night at an Indian casino.
Indian
together.
casino, yeah.
His moves aren't that small?
No,
My moves are bigger than my...
so we'll get back to it.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Wait.
Let's get back on track and talk about things that are off track.
Wait, his aren't that small?
Wait,
So
wait.
we were talking about Swamp Fox optics in
Yeah.
the T-shirt.
Yeah. I was like...
That shirt gives you makes it look like you have cleavage, Sean, because of the arrows.
Oh, now I want to motorboat him.
I want to rip the chest out of this thing and just... yeah, anyway. Well,
See, if you were
so-
a camouflage shirt,
You
no one
should
can
cut
see
out
anything.
the sides so your nipples highlight the Swamp Fox logo.
that would be wonderful. It's a good look for me. So you were talking about Swamp Fox.
So I converted a 22 to a 17, Glock 22 to a 17, and ordered a Kingslayer. Threw it on there. minor issue sighting it in, and then had the glass pop out. The only reason I had brought that up was because I knew they were a sponsor, and I was a sponsor of We Like Shooting for many years, and I know what being fair and unbiased means to We Like Shooting and to its listeners, and it's your reputation. So I kind of brought it up to Sean, not in an attempt to bash Swamp Fox. Anytime JCA had an issue with a product and Sean was aware of it, Sean tried to mitigate it, and he brought it to JCA before it ever hit anywhere public. And mind you, it was only a few issues here and there, but that professional courtesy made our customer service better, and it made our public appearance better. And in my point of view, the issue that I had was a fluke. I'll be straight up honest. When I got it put together and I was firing it, I threw the gun up on a bench. I was a little bit abusive with it. I kind of wanted to see if I could knock it out of sight, or, out of zero. And so I wasn't exactly gentle on it when after I put it. Nice comment. I wasn't at ginger with it in the first 50, 60 rounds with it. I view it as a fluke, and the only reason I'm bringing it up now is JCAA would still be alive if we had decided to make a second tier product. So we entered the industry and we wanted to make a superior training round, and I think that we did it. I think we did a really good job at it. But when the industry started to see a change after the election, we couldn't compete with the pricing. So we thought about bringing in a remanufactured product line so we could compete in that market. But regardless of the image that we built over a 4-year period with our main product line, any fault or flaw that happened with our second product line, the whole entire company would be held accountable for that. And we just looked at it like we need to make a choice. Do we go out on our own terms, and do we go out with very little negative customer review, and knowing that any negative customer review that we have, that we handled it professionally and we handled it well? And we opted to do that. We seen what the market was doing for ammo, and we had to make a choice. With Swamp Fox, I've seen a lot of guys bashing the company, making all these comments about, the products being cheap and you get what you pay for. But the industry's asking for economical, high-performance products. Swamp Fox is trying to bring that to market. They're a new company. They're investing all this money into their factory, into their manufacturing, into their research, their development, into their import, export of their raw materials, their finished product. And they're going to happen. And you judge a company on how they treat their customers and what they do when that stuff happens. You can't, if you want Swamp Fox to be successful and to continue to bring strong products and innovation to the market, then you got to support them. You can't say, oh, they had 2 or 3 product fails that I've heard of. And we all know that the internet is full of 90% of the bad product reviews out there, people haven't even used the product. So yeah. My point is you got a good company. Sean researches the people who he brings on as sponsors. He doesn't pass the buck when it comes to their product. He gives it a fair and an honest evaluation. And if Sean believes in the products and they're running the products day in, day out, you got Robert Butler using the products. Robert's not that, he's not easy on equipment either. And Robert puts through the paces. And you got you guys running Swamp Fox optics. They're performing. You have minimal defects and flaws with them. So people just need to take a step back and see a company that's trying to bring economically priced performance optics to the market and stand by their side. If you like the people behind the company, if you like what they're trying to do, then you got to deal with their customer service, and you got to support them and help them build into a company that can eliminate the rather than to throw them under the bus and have them run dry.
Well, I think the thing, like when you had a problem with it, like, and you mentioned earlier, like when you heard of a problem with JCAA that I brought it to you, and it wasn't like for any other reason than extreme ownership. Like when anyone has a problem with any product that we advertise for me, it's all about that extreme ownership. I take it so fucking personally when something fucks up. Recently with a Faxon barrel, I literally gave the dude here locally that had a problem with the Faxon barrel, I gave him a barrel out of my gun just to make it right. When it was Swamp Fox, like you refused to get warranty service, I fucking went behind your back and contacted the owner of Swamp Fox, and I was like, hey, this is kind of what's going on. It's pretty unacceptable. I know this dude. He's not, he's so loyal to us. He's not going to like request warranty service. And, I take it personally because I put so much value in who we choose to do business with. And I think that's like, it's just that extreme ownership. Like I take it personally when something fails. And Swamp Fox, like, dude, they are leaps and bounds. I could not be more happy with them. We just did that review of the Arrowhead, and that thing, dude, the only thing we didn't do is run it over the god tank. But I'm pretty sure it would have still worked. Like I bent it and they're doing awesome. Like, so we've got the new Liberty, and I've got the armor on the way for that because they saw what Sage Dynamics did with the Kingslayer. And they were like, okay, how do we fix that? How do we make it to where we never have to deal with this again? And those guys take it just as seriously. And that, I think, constantly. I think, like, I'm so happy that we decided, because we had a couple optics companies that we were talking to at the same time. And almost weekly, I think to myself, I'm so happy we went with Swamp Fox. Like, they're doing so much good. They're doing so many good things, and they're getting so much better so quickly that I am 100% comfortable with that choice. And, when I see failures, I take them personally, and I try to make sure that they get fixed.
And I believe it was Robert with Swamp Fox. He reached out to me right after you had contacted him. They offered a replacement, and I'm good. I'll wait until your shake and wake comes out, and I'll buy one. I like I told him, keep doing the good work, keep bringing products up, and I'll keep supporting you guys. The fact that I got an email, that email says more to me than any replacement optic did.
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely support like all the people.
But did you get a shirt, man?
No.
Yeah,
we could get you a shirt.
I got 3 shirts, dude.
I will say though, they're sticker socks.
I don't know. Is it the one that comes in the box? I haven't used that.
Yeah, I tried to put it on my little sticker wall.
You have a sticker wall? What are you, like 9?
Have you
got
not
a patch wall like an adult, dude?
I'm a 13-year-old in a 45-year-old man's body.
Yeah, I bet that happened reverse style when you were 13.
Nick.
There was a 45-year-old man in your body.
Next question, Nick.
Dude, I wish it would have been a priest. They're paying big.
Right? But, our Jewish background kind of excludes us from that.
Like, seriously.
Well, James A. says, are 2011 and other high-capacity 1911s really all they're cracked up to be, or are they just an overhyped, overpriced Gucci gun? They seem to all be the rage since John Wick 3 was released last year, and I was wondering what your thoughts on them were. Hashtag WLS is life. Hashtag the Rona.
I mean,
do you like 1911s?
Yes.
Do you like more bullets in your gun?
Yes.
Then you'll like 2011s.
They're f***ing cool as shit, but like, here's the thing that I don't love about 2011s is the f***ing price. Like, why are all these 2011 companies, dude? It's easier to get like, you could probably get like plutonium easier than getting a f***ing 2011 from some of these companies. Like $5,000, $6,000, like off.
We'll talk about plutonium later.
Yay.
But yeah, like I love 2011s, but god damn, like they're cool as shit, but I don't know, they're very overpriced, I think.
I think a lot of them are, and the ones you're talking about that are super high priced, some of them are definitely overpriced. However, a lot of them are like the really high end custom built or semi custom built pistols that have a lot of work and time that go into them, and that's why they're so expensive.
I have no vested interest in this, but I have an STI, and it's the best gun I own.
So yeah, if you know who has this STI, if you don't know who has one, they'll tell you they have one.
Well, it's not STI anymore. They're now known as Staccato now. They just changed their name this week.
Oh, really?
What?
Yeah.
I mean, probably a good move so that their name isn't sexually transmitted infection.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably, but Staccato, it really just rolls out. Staccato.
Sounds like
For the
it's,
record, I've never had a sexually transmitted disease.
Is
but you knew
herpes?
someone who grapefruit once.
I did.
Yes, you did. And I tried to tell my wife that story. She was not impressed. I laughed so much during telling the story, and she's like, "Wait, why?" And I'm like, "No, that's not the point.
So
that's not the point."
She clearly does not understand the level of boredom in a tower on the Sinai Peninsula of Egypt.
Clearly
not.
Jared said, "Get an Atlas B done." They're one of the ones I'm talking about. Atlas Gunworks. They're awesome, but Jesus, they're so expensive.
They are.
Well, hold on, Jared Noble.
Magical.
Yeah.
Listen, Jared Noble may know knives, but that don't know about competition pistols.
Jareded.
They're all Jareded and don't run. I got $8,000 in extra parts in this, and it won't function.
See, that's the problem. Like all 2011s are suddenly race guns.
So
Not all of them. Ones. They're
Well, I mean, we're not talking about like Minnesota race guns.
So Rock Island Armory has some 2011s that are pretty decent. I've shot those and they're fun. I will say this.
those.
Tactical Toolbox has been doing a series on just doing like a custom 2011 with eBay parts and I've watched every episode. Like it's really, really good. And it reminds me of the hatred that I had for 1911s when I did one from like 80%. It was the bane of my existence. I hated every second of it.
Kind of like Chris Vector's.
Yeah, those things too. Let's see. I mean, at this point, let's move into, because I'm sure we got some news and to talk about. If you'd like to submit a question to us, go to welikeshooting.com/DearWLS. That's the place that you can do it and send in the questions. We really need them. If not, we'll just have Aaron read poetry for 40 minutes.
Oh, who do we read? Chaucer?
No. Oh no. I was like, Jack and Jill went up the hill to smoke a little weed. Jack got high, unzipped his fly, and Jill said, "Where's the beef?"
That doesn't even rhyme.
Andrew Dice Clay. Andrew Dice Clay.
No.
Wow.
You just ruined a Legends joke.
Dude, I am not a comedian. I'm not known for being funny, apparently.
I was on the show tonight to advocate against suicide, but you have permission.
So I was standing in line at the bank. Anyway.
With a mascot and a gun.
I'm not even going to do it. Where are we on the show? I don't know. All right. So before we do anything else, talk about Patriot Patch Company. That's patriotpatch.co. Like Aaron said, become a f***ing adult and buy patches for your patch wall. I've got patch walls in Studio B. Nick, you've got patches.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron, you've clearly got patches. Jeremy's got a patch wall that he made at the shop.
I got a sticker wall.
Chris has a sticker wall.
And next to his booger wall.
He puts
his Garbage Pail Kids collection.
Stickers on his Trapper Keeper. But go check him out, patriotpatch.co, and the coupon code is WLS10. Saves you money every single day. Where did the... Okay, there it is. So this is not guns, I guess.
Not guns, not gear, just the gang. Hashtag not guns.
Actually, so Matt L says CZTSO. It's like a 2011 for half the cost and not as finicky. Dyslexic Operator says 1120s are FUD guns for not FUDs.
How about Happy Birthday, Alyssa?
Happy birthday, Alyssa. Who's that?
I don't know. Some Sophia lady wants us to say Happy Birthday, Alyssa.
Happy birthday, Alyssa. Is she hot?
You guys allocated a lot of new broads since I've been gone.
Well, when we started a cult, they just came.
Could you look creepier while you said that?
No.
He's like, you guys go on a new murder. And I put the thing in to drink one and then the pudding pop.
What's
isn't it crazy? Bill Cosby is the most prolific rapist in U.S. history. I wonder if he ever a woman with passed out with a Jello pudding pop.
Probably.
Oh, you know he did. He's like,
I don't know if I.
there's always room for Jello.
FDR the entirety of America for ever and evermore.
Oh,
Dude,
God.
if you want to, you should read a book. It's called My Time with the President by Mimi Beardsley. John F. Kennedy would have his brother Bobby this Mimi girl while he would off at the White House pool. And the book has been verified. And this Mimi Beardsley lady, for her day, back in her day and today, hot.
I didn't even know that book existed. See? Hillary Clinton trying to suppress everything.
My Time with the President, Mimi Beardsley.
Aaron, read it for me. Tell me what it's about.
It's about off in pools while your brother somebody.
All right, so not guns. What do you got for us tonight, Aaron?
Well, it was going to be if the cast members were STDs, what would they be? But it's just been so off the rails. I'm afraid where this will go. I'm just going to say everyone is AIDS.
Yeah.
Everyone's AIDS here.
That's what
AIDS.
That was my plan anyway.
Magic Johnson AIDS or Charlie Sheen AIDS?
Oh, Jesus.
I saw him.
Never the tween shall meet. Man.
Wait a minute. I saw Magic Johnson, a picture of him wearing a mask the other day.
You didn't even wear a
Now
condom.
he puts the mask on.
Yeah. Now you're using protection. Get the out of here. All right. So yeah, we're all AIDS. Whatever. Where do we go from here?
Except Jeremy, he's HPV.
Well, he has HPV. All right. So this is some news. I guess. I mean, first of all, we'll talk about what happened in Minnesota. There's like a lot. There's like riots there in Minnesota now. Basically, dude, I don't know. Cops got called because someone reported someone writing a bad check. They found him lounging on or in his car. He resisted a bit. They took him to the ground, handcuffed him, knee on the back of the neck. He's like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Bystanders were sitting there recording it, filming it, watching it. Eventually he passes out. He dies. Their 4 officers have been fired. It's a fucking show. Like after the one where in Georgia, I think, where the black dude jogging down the street and those 2 guys, like more and more information keeps coming out constantly. So I'm like reserving my thoughts on this. I will say, like, I don't think anyone deserves to die like this. But also who knows what like all the facts are going to be. It's a pretty crazy situation. And was it Minneapolis? Is that where it was?
Yeah, it's about 65 miles south of me.
Yeah, so that's close. It's getting a little crazy. A bunch of cop cars were vandalized and windows broken out and dented and shit like that. And, I mean, I think that they fired the cops. I mean, no investigation has really been done yet. All the facts can't possibly be out yet. I think it was a publicity thing because they see the powder keg brewing. That's kind of my thought. And again, I'm not defending anybody. I don't have all the information, so I'm kind of withholding my thoughts. But what do you guys think about this whole thing?
All right. So, all right. I'll throw my hat in the ring right off the bat here.
Okay.
I feel like personally, if you have someone detained or subdued, you don't need to continue keeping your knee on their neck, whether they're trained to do so or not. There's 4 cops there. There's 1 person there. He's cuffed. He's restrained. You have control of the situation at that point. I don't think it was necessary for them to continue any pressure or pain compliance on him. That's my opinion. I disagree with what the cops did.
Jeremy, what do you think?
I think if you handcuffed me and allowed me to get to my feet, I could up 4 normal-sized cops.
See, Aaron, that actually is something that I was going to say. I was like, just because they're compliant on the ground because of pain compliance or whatever it happens to be, doesn't mean that they couldn't be a threat were they to get up. And maybe this dude's not 6'8" and built like Shrek.
He was a pretty big guy.
Was he a big dude?
I mean, if you're afraid of him you up, then restrain his legs. I'm sure they have something for that as well.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they didn't have other options. I'm saying you can't say, well, he's in handcuffs, so he's no longer a threat.
I'm saying he was restrained at that point. They could have removed the pressure on the neck, and if they felt in danger still, they could have put leg shackles on him. And then they have complete control because now his hands are restrained, his legs are restrained. The worst he could do is thrash around and maybe hurt himself, but you can hold his arms down at that point. There's 4 cops there. Even if you have one cop doing control area control, you still have 3 officers that can restrain the individual. Yeah. I just felt like tactically it was a good idea in practice or in theory, but in practice it obviously cost a man his life.
Chris, what do you think?
So immediately this went to a racial tone.
Yeah.
These cops, they sign in for their shift. They go out. All they want to do is go home alive and safe, right?
Yeah.
Presumably. There's no evidence that these guys had any racial history. That is funny. The comment.
Yeah. For the record, for those listening, it said Jeremy with morning is a threat.
It's like the picking of the
Yeah,
nose.
he's a large man.
Yeah.
No, but
not as big as you think.
Again, these guys, I bet it could fit in a Pringles can nicely.
With a lot of room on every side.
You got a Pringles can? Nah.
No. I've talked about the exact dimensions before.
Well, Chris, I'm glad that you mentioned that because I do have a Pringles can. Oddly enough, I shoved my in it earlier,
and they hit the bottom.
All right. So back to Minnesota. You have 2 cops that sign in for their shift. Presumably, they want to go out, do their job, and go home safe at the end of the night. When dispatch radios them, they don't have any control over who the potential suspect or victim or what the scenario is. They just respond. If they're in that location, they'll respond, they show up, and they start to do their investigation. These guys got there to investigate some sort of check scam, check fraud, issue. Started questioning the guy. From what I understand, he became a little bit belligerent. It wasn't like a big hostile reaction or anything. They wrestled him to the ground, got him into handcuffs, used the knee to the neck restraint move. And if law enforcement's honest, it is a nationwide used tactic. It's designed to be positioned to where it's down in more towards the shoulder area, pushing towards the sternum, not directly onto the neck. But in under duress, when you're applying it on the street with 20 onlookers and people screaming at you, your position might not be perfect. I think that once they had him on the ground, they had him in cuffs, and the individual that was restraining his feet had his feet under control. I think they should have tried to get him into the vehicle and hold him there. For whatever reason, they kept him in that position. From what I understand, they were communicating with dispatch and communicating with emergency medical services. A lot of times, suspects, once on the ground, they will comply and tell you they can't breathe, so you will loosen your restraint on them to gain a possible advantage. And like Jeremy said, you don't know what you're dealing with when you show up. You don't know if the guy's on drugs. You don't know if he has a pre-existing medical condition. And you just don't know what the mental state of this human being is. So if you release pressure to, for whatever reason, and then he turns the table on you, now you're an injured law enforcement officer. And but again, I don't understand why the restraint was put into place for so long. I don't understand why they didn't put him into the cruiser that they had him up against for his own safety. And, it gets pretty hairy there at the 6:50 mark where he starts to pass out. When he passed out, you really should have, they should have stopped the restraint and started to render medical care. So as hard as it is to say, and I know that a lot of people are upset with me for having the opinion, I think that it's negligence and it's a lack of training, but I don't think it's murder. The 4 officers that were on scene, none of them were race. And mind you, only one of those officers was white. There was an Asian, I believe, a black, and another, I believe, a Hispanic. But it was bad training. It was a restraint that was used improperly and for too long, and it's gross negligence. I mean,
negligent homicide, if anything.
Yeah, I don't see anything that shows they weren't kicking him when he was. We've all seen the videos where that cop will throw the extra little punch in once they get him in on the ground, or throw the boots to him, and those type of scenarios. They were holding him into place. They were clearly communicating with dispatch and with another entity, and But again, I mean, it's a pretty sad place in a pretty sad world where we live in, where a petty crime as check cashing ends up in a guy dying. But on the transfer side too, and again, I'm not saying this guy deserved the end result, but he went out knowingly committing a crime, a petty crime, a crime that should have been a slap on the wrist. This should have been, hey, sir, we got a report of you passing checks. Once they verify that he was doing it or wasn't doing it, it should have either went to they release him or they arrest him. They bring him and they book him. They let the store owners prosecute at that point. It should have never ended up in his death. But we're asking police officers to risk their lives every day to go out onto the streets and deal with people with mental issues, with substance abuse issues. You have people that have no respect whatsoever for any amount of authority, and these things happen. It's not right. I think what we're going to end up seeing here is the officer with his knee on his neck. He's going to be fired, and he's going to face some sort of prosecution. I believe
he already was fired. All 4 of them were.
Yeah. All 4 were fired. I think he's going to see some prosecution. I think that we're going to see the union get the other 3 reinstated.
You know what, though? I actually read an article today about the firing of the 4 officers, and I tend to agree with it. Because normally you're like, all right, on one hand, I think thieves should be hung from the neck until dead. I hate thieves. I don't care if it's a petty crime. You're trying to steal what somebody worked for, so you're basically stealing their life. Thieves should be hung. So, this guy was technically right. A check scheme is thievery. I don't care that you're dead. Yes, I know it's hanged, but I don't care. I don't care that he's dead. Anyways. But when they were talking about police to community relationships, and even though if what they did was technically, before the mayor came out and said, "Oh, this isn't approved," and blah 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 blah, even though it is, and firing these 4 would be for the amount of trust that you would lose from the community because of these 4 officers. I get that. I totally get that point. Well, even if they did nothing wrong, because you have to have the trust of the community that you're in. You are a representative of the community, and if you don't have the trust of the community, you might as well not even be there.
Yeah, I mean, again,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, Sean.
No, go ahead. I was going to say, police officers need to be social workers at this point. More so, that's what they really want the police officers to be at this point. Less law enforcement, less heavy-handed, more. And that's one of the things I teach you when we were in doing security is de-escalate the situation.
Yeah.
Don't lay hands. Just try to talk people down. A physical force is the last thing.
That's why I could never be a cop.
Right, yeah. I know, and there's a lot of cops out there the same way. Currently, there's a lot of law enforcement. It's not just police officers; it's all law enforcement.
But hold on a
There's
second.
guys out there for not, I'm not saying all, let me rephrase that. Not all law enforcement are out there to do that, but in law enforcement, there's always those people that always go to force first versus, let's because they deal with human every single day,
Right.
and it gets old really quick.
Exactly. And you're not dealing with like the best of society. You're dealing with the worst. And I would not be surprised. Like, there's probably somebody in their department that let somebody up and ended up dying because of it. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
Well, look at training videos. We all remember that. Dude that got smoked by the vet with the 30 carbine down in where was it? Texas? Was it Texas, Oklahoma? Down that way. And you cops just screaming, ah! And this dude's just pop, takes cover behind the truck. Dude's crazy, kills cop because the cop approached as if it was just like a random normal thing. And every cop gets shown that video in training. I guarantee it. They watch these videos of cops that let their guards down and ended up dying. So nobody's doing it. You're not going to be the next training video.
I mean, you could be guarded, but be able to de-escalate a situation at the same time.
You can try to de-escalate all you want, but if somebody decides they're going to shoot at you,
right,
de-escalation don't matter.
Exactly. And I mean, de-escalation is a positive thing, like, right? But at the same time, like in the real world, the streets that they're on a lot, and I mean, I think Minneapolis is a pretty crime-ridden place. Yeah. Go ahead, Chris. What were you going to say?
Minneapolis in that area is getting pretty bad. A lot of shootings, a lot of law enforcement activity, and it's going downhill. But again, I've been at two different federal entities. I've been trained this maneuver. I've used it myself. I don't understand why they applied it for as long as they did. They had control of the guy. They could have put him in the vehicle if he was having a medical emergency. They could have released him. I just don't get it. But it's easy for me to sit here in my backyard online with you guys talking about it. I've never had a civilian law enforcement role before. I've never had to walk up to somebody that I don't know what their mental status is. And Aaron is right. I mean, the lack of training in social circumstances that these law enforcement officers have contributes to a lot of this stuff. But again, I see people in the thread, the officer that was standing by had multiple, race-related against him. Well, he's Asian. Okay, so the Asian cop had, put against him. Okay, fine. But if you look at his demeanor when that cop in the main video he's kind of looking over, assessing, walks over, assesses, does a little crowd control, comes back, walks back over, assesses. He had no concern whatsoever for the restraint that was being used. That tells me that he was very comfortable with
racist.
that being used.
Oh, no.
And
sorry, that's where I was going to.
If this is something, it's not a human rights thing. A human rights thing means that this guy was specifically targeted, and while he was being targeted, they were going after him for being black, throwing a racial slur or comment in there, or throwing extra jabs or being hyper aggressive, and there was none of that in the video.
Let me ask you this, Chris.
The other thing is, look at it this way. You say, I don't know why they used it that long, but we've all been. You ever been in a fist fight? You ever like had to go hands on with somebody and then go, all right, how long? And then you go, how long did that take? Oh man, I had to be fighting for 4 or 5 minutes, 15 seconds.
Yeah,
you fought for 15 seconds. For all we know, that guy was amped up from whatever altercation started beforehand. He gets the guy subdued. He's on him, and he doesn't realize he's on him that long. Now, it's gross negligence. Don't get me wrong. The fact that this guy died while in custody is gross negligence. Do I actually care? No, most of us don't. Most of us don't actually care. Hell, even the people rioting up there right now are just doing it so they can steal TVs and I don't know how that's going to affect change in the department. And you want to affect change in a police department that you think is corrupt? join it.
Well,
Work your
that's
way
like-
up through the ranks.
Minneapolis has a great program. You have an associate degree in anything not law enforcement related, they will can hire you tomorrow. If you got such a problem with the way that they're doing their job, step the up.
Yeah.
You know,
So,
but I'm
if you're-
trying to. I got a law enforcement buddy trying to forward me a link for a video that I'll try to get to you guys. But Jeremy, there's a video from down south where a law enforcement officer walks up to, he pulls up, it's at night, walks up to ask a guy a couple of questions about a complaint, disturbance complaint at a park. This guy's a giant, Jeremy Giant. For 15 minutes, this guy beats the shit out of the officer. And this officer is screaming and pleading for help, and nobody comes. And that's another thing, too. You know, you got 30 people sitting there with their cell phone cameras out. And again, you have 3 officers there. One of them could have stepped in and said, hey, man, maybe we should get him in the car, or maybe we should, back off him a little bit. I don't know. But, yelling, slurs and at cops isn't helping your situation. I step up and plead, take civil action, take responsibility for your community. And then, again, last night they went and the police. I got a buddy that was on duty last night. He said it got a little hairy there, and they the police station up pretty bad. They breached an inner perimeter fence where there were squads with firearms, in the vehicles, and they breached that where they had access to that stuff. But they didn't go after any of that. They went and up the liquor store across the street.
Hells yeah.
Got some free booze.
There you go.
So I do want to ask anyone who's been in a situation with authority, military or police or law enforcement. The question is, if you're there on scene and in an issue where there's an altercation going on and there's an officer who's directing everything, so there's an officer with his knee on someone's neck, as someone else who's also there, do you go over there with a crowd of people like, hey man, you need to lay up or lay off, you need to step back, or do you just this guy's got it, I'm going to let him roll with it, I'm not going to undermine his authority of this situation? I mean, the cop the other police officer who's just looking around, maybe he thought, this guy, I'm not going to undermine his authority and control the situation.
Well, yeah, it's an institutional bystander, basically. Maybe out of his chain of command, maybe he just didn't feel comfortable doing it. Maybe he hasn't been in the service as long. Maybe a ton of different things. But after that Ahmaud Arbery thing, I was like, I'm not forming an opinion until I start hearing facts come out over the weeks. I don't know what policing in Minneapolis is like. I don't know what their training is. I don't know what their standard operating procedure is. I don't know what happened before the cameras turned on. I don't know what this dude's background was. I don't know what these cops' background was. I don't know any of that. So I don't think I should be sitting on this show to as many listeners as we have, being like, it's murder, it's wrong, it's this, it's that. It seems negligent. I'll say that.
If that's your standard, I mean, there's a high probability that you'll never know almost half of that information that you just listed off.
Oh, good, because you know what? I live in Colorado and I don't care what happens in Minneapolis. That's awesome. I don't give a It doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect my life at all.
I mean, we talk about things that go on in California, go on in New Jersey, go on in New York. I mean, those affect us, and they're not.
We talk
Colorado.
about Washington every episode.
that is true. Go ahead, Chris.
This is a prime example of how national law enforcement needs to change. This tactic is used across the country daily, and people aren't dying from it. But now we had this incident that put it into the spotlight. So there needs to be training. It's got to be revamped, and some things need to change. I differ from Jeremy's. I respect Jeremy's opinion. I love that he goes all in with hang the. I can't do that.
I hate thieves.
I mean, they basically did, right? Same injuries as if they would have hung him.
Well, technically, when you hang somebody, you break their neck.
Hanged.
I hate thieves too, but this guy, he did not deserve to die. But again, I don't think what these cops did was right. I think one of the 3 cops should have kind of assessed the situation and been a little bit more cognitive of what was going on with this guy's medical status. But again, when you roll up on that situation, you don't know. And in my opinion, I think in the end, we're going to find out that this guy had a pre-existing medical condition that was exacerbated by the struggle, and the restriction of oxygen flow is something that triggered this medical condition as well, and that's what he died from, not from like brute force. And I'm not trying to justify it, make excuses for the officers, but again, they got there. There was a small struggle. There wasn't any outright aggression by the officers. Once they got him to the ground, there were no extra, there was no screaming. There was no extra punches. There were no extra kicks. They were calm. They were collected. They were reasonably professional. I just don't know why they didn't get off the guy when he started to pass out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't either. Like, and that's the thing. Like, I don't think this dude deserved to die. I don't think he deserved.
I think he deserved to go to court, get proven guilty
exactly
by a jury of his peers, and then hanged.
Well, okay, that's fair. That's fair. Like, I could get behind that,
That's
right?
what he deserved, because thieves. The fact that he died during all of this is, I mean, okay, start the story where the story begins. He was doing some illegal.
So he was born.
No, because
had he not been doing illegal, this wouldn't have happened.
Maybe. Like, I don't even think that we can make that claim, because sometimes innocent people get.
If he wasn't doing illegal and they got the wrong guy, now fry the cop.
Well,
I mean, that's still a pretty hardcore jump.
I'm just giving my opinion. I don't know what happened on the ground. But if the body cam video comes out and he's fucking mumbling racial shit under his breath or whatever, hang that cop. But
true, but I will say that, I mean, the cops seem like cool, calm, and collected. And again, I'm not defending anybody here. I'm not defending the dude who died. I'm not defending the cops. I'm just saying this is going to go to court in Minneapolis. It's going to affect the Minneapolis community. Like, it's going to go through the police channels. It's going to go through all that shit, and it's going to go to court. Now, I'll also say that's not always the case, because as we saw in Georgia with him, is his name Ahmaud Arbery? Like, nothing happened. They didn't prosecute those guys. They didn't arrest those guys because they saw the video. They arrested them because we saw the video. So maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe, like, we do need to get up in arms about it. But honestly, like these cops have already been crucified. Like, it doesn't matter what the real story is. It doesn't matter at all.
They may be being crucified, but the other guy was hung.
Yeah.
Hanged.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I'm hung. They're hanged.
Again, the whole rioting thing, we watched the riots in Ferguson, and, now, here in Minnesota, the riots are going on right now too. And, right now tonight down in Minneapolis. And I just don't understand what trashing your own community does. It makes outsiders like me. You guys, I'm Facebook friends with all you guys. I openly advocate for my gay friends. I openly advocate for my friends of color. I've made statements many, many times. If you're against anybody because of their race or their religion or their sexual preference, f*** you. I don't have time for you.
It sounds like you're trying really hard to convince us that you're not racist.
Sure. I'm sure I have some sort of
I think she doth protest too much.
Yeah, I think the important thing to remember here is that
we all have
that in the bedroom it's pinch, not push.
Have some sort of predisposed racial. You can't tell me that you've been out in public alone or with your wife and seen a couple. And I don't care if it's black or white kids. If I see 5 or 6 white kids that are in hoodies and talking and acting foolish, I get a little bit on defense.
Yeah,
I don't really care about if I see a group of people just not acting the way that me and my family act. My spidey sense gets triggered a little bit, and if you say that doesn't happen with you, you're a liar.
Yeah, I mean, with everything like that, that's how we profile. Profiling and stereotypes are like how our brain processes things and helps us recognize threats. Like that's just how it is. Yeah, I don't know. Like this is one of those situations where I just literally, I want to learn more about it. I'm not going to take like a final stand on either side of it. I think
Do you want to learn more about it?
I do want to learn more about it.
Because a minute ago you said didn't happen in Colorado, so you didn't give a
I want to read about the court case after it's all gone through the courts.
Okay.
And they've been judged by a jury of their peers. That's what I really want. I want to read about it in a year and figure it out, because honestly, I don't care what happens in Rwanda. I don't care what happens in Minneapolis because it doesn't necessarily affect me or my community or the place where I live. I agree that maybe nationwide we need to look at stuff like this and don't think that I'm here I'm like a cop lover. Audit the Audit is my favorite YouTube channel, and that channel doesn't necessarily put cops in a positive light a lot. Sometimes it does, but
because you're seeing all the ones of the cops that up.
No, sometimes the cops are great.
Cop does really well.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. 9 times out of 10, when people go auditing cops and they get a cop that's really cool, they delete that. That's not what they want.
That's your thought on the numbers. It's unproven.
And I will also say this, that I'm sick and goddamn tired of the media telling me what I should think and what I should feel about an issue, and I'm just not going to let it happen anymore.
Well, I'm not going to crucify the cops in this situation because I don't know what was going on. I am, however, going to crucify the cops down in the Louisville situation where they killed that girl sleeping in her bed, and her boyfriend shot a cop, and I'm glad he's out of jail. I kind of wish he would have smoke checked one of them and got off of it.
I'm glad he's out of jail.
It was stupid.
Yeah, I'm glad he's out of jail. But I don't know what the whole story was that led them there in the first place. I just don't know.
How do you up that badly?
Yeah, wasn't it the wrong house even?
Isn't that a sad state of information, though? The thing is the Georgia case, the Louisville case, we'll never know what the facts are of this stuff. And we will never get the full piece of information. And the news, Goebbels, he'd be blushing proud of the American media right now.
And actually, speaking of that, Aaron, honestly, if I could go to Minneapolis and learn about it from the people who are actually involved, like the dude's family, the police department there, the prosecuting, I would be way more interested. But getting my information from the media, I just don't care anymore, and I'm not going to do it, and I'm not going to form opinions based on what they are force feeding us.
So you do care, but only if you were there.
I'm interested. I didn't say I care. I'm interested, but I'm not interested in a forced narrative.
For the record, the kneeler, he'll be found guilty. The 3 others, they'll be reinstated back to duty within a year.
Honestly, if we find out that their SOP is exactly that and that their training teaches exactly that, there's no way he's going to be crucified in the court system. It'll be brushed. There's no way. And if it does happen, then he has the shittiest lawyer on the face of the earth. If he was acting outside of his training, if he's not doing what he was trained to do, then yeah, he'll be crucified. But if he was, well, that changes things.
Yeah, I agree. Si, senor.
All right, cool. Excellent discussion there, boys. Aaron, you want to hit a couple news stories before we head out?
Yes. New Zealand shops are forced to send rare rifles to scrappers. What a bummer, huh?
What's a scrapper?
Some nice guns, but because New Zealand laws say you can't have them, it means nobody can have them, and they are now going to be scrapped.
New Zealand needs to do a boog.
In Minecraft.
No, in real life. I can't be arrested for promoting violence in another country, Sean.
That's true. That's true.
You know what? There's a guy in...
is that the new thing you have to say in Minecraft?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to incite violence. But there is a guy who rides a horse. I don't know. He's been riding a horse in D.C. He's from Texas, and his big thing is all Democrats need to be killed. All Democrats should die. He says it on the TV all the time and on the news, and no one's saying anything about him.
How is that? He's inciting action. He's inciting, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Just Google it. You'll see the guy.
So in New Zealand, the guns included 2 Browning BAR Mark IIs and 2 50s Armalite AR-10s.
Not the BAR you're probably thinking of. It's a sporting rifle, not like the automatic rifle from World War II.
Okay. God,
still really beautiful. Beautiful guns. But it's the gun in the picture right there.
Oh, that one. Okay, yeah. So that is beautiful.
I actually just sold one of those in $270.
Nice. Oh, those Armalites are pretty cool, though.
Old school Armalite.
Yeah, man.
1950s.
Yeah.
Some of the... Oh, man. That is a shame.
Yeah, just do a boog.
Yeah.
With what guns? They don't have that.
No, that's not true. They
got guns.
Yeah, very few people turned them in. It was like 1% or like, I don't know, 8% or something like that.
Second story, as you can see there, Magpul announces a line of MP5 accessories. So we were just talking about the MP5 earlier, how we all should have one. Mm-hmm. Well, Magpul is now coming out with a line of stuff that we could get. What is this video?
It's Magpul for your machine and pistola.
I like how they have a law tactical folder on that MP5. That's like $300 that they didn't need to spend.
Yeah.
Such as President of the United States, James Marshall, New York Police Detective, John McClane, Metacortex Computer.
Okay, that's pretty funny. So for the people watching, they put Magpul furniture on MP5s from popular movies.
We improved handling.
That's pretty good. So I actually saw some of this, and it's pretty decent looking.
Yeah. They had it at SHOT Show, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't super impressed with their lower, like their MP5 lower, but
the handguard thing,
the grip that you actually no,
not this,
no, the lower the grip.
I would take an MP5,
especially like I would take it without the furniture. I don't need Magpul furniture for an MP5.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about Magpul. Just give me the MP5 full auto.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But the full auto kit, if you can, the MP, was it the SP5 or SP5?
Yeah.
The conversion kit's like still $1,000 or something.
Oh, f*** off! I could buy a full auto trigger pack for like $180.
Oh, can you for an MP5?
It's illegal for you to own it and the gun that you can.
No, I completely understand that concept. I just didn't realize they were that inexpensive.
Yeah, no, it's dirt cheap. Now, if you want a registered one, it's going to cost you some money.
Okay, because like a Glock is like $300 for a trigger pack for the 19
for a registered one.
Well, the one you'd want to purchase if you're building one.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You can't just purchase one. You have to make it.
Okay, I'll take your word on it. I mean, I've seen them on Gunbroker.
Yeah, and they're either no law letter, illegal, or registered.
Right. So you don't have to make them. They do exist. You can purchase them if you have an SOT.
You have to make them if you're an SOT, or they have to be registered, or they have to be transferable.
Yes,
they have to be transferable. They have to be an 80%, which means you have to do machining on your own to actually make it work. I can't buy it because if it is a working backplate, it's already a machine gun and it should be registered.
Okay. But you can get one as a no law letter, right?
If you see a no law letter one, yes, you can just buy it.
But
you can't be a class 2.
But you can buy it, correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's all I was saying. That was the point I was trying to make there.
Yeah, I think you guys are arguing the same point.
No.
All right.
Now let's argue about whether they're arguing the same thing.
What's that?
I said, now let's argue about whether they were arguing about the same thing.
I think they were.
There's a website out there. I've looked into it where I can just go buy full auto trigger packs for MP5s, and I think they're like $180 to $250, something like that.
That's awesome. I really want that.
The only problem is getting a gun that they fit in costs $3,000.
Yeah, I know. Trust me. I want one so bad, but instead I bought an SKS. It's basically the same.
Yeah, you saved yourself 10%.
Yeah, I mean,
$2,700.
You get the firing pin channel really dirty on the SKS.
Oh,
and your firing pin will stick, and then
fire.
There you go.
Yeah, because there's no spring in it. It's just like a free floating firing pin. Yeah, that happened on my 1911.
You can just wedge that in there and weld it.
Dude, don't tempt me.
That's a lot harder to.
I'm going to work for is actually the ATF. Just so you know.
Hey, it's legal for us.
I'm going to register a shoestring.
It was nice to know you, Chris, but
it was legal for us.
Mm-hmm.
We have SOTs.
And that is the news, gentlemen.
All right, awesome.
Yeah, New Zealand needs to do a boog.
Chris, were you talking about?
How about that, Chris? There's an island nation.
Which one?
New Zealand. We could rescue them from their communist overlords.
Does it get cold there?
Only in the mountains.
Nice winters. They're down by Australia. It's warm.
No.
It's by Australia.
Australia's a third world.
Yeah, but we're talking New Zealand.
Yeah, no, thanks. I
But-
want tropical island.
But New Zealand has those rolling hills with the round doors that go into the hobbit holes.
And you're going to like this, Chris. Lots of sheep.
With their glistening,
Yeah.
glistening cavities.
I'm telling you, go to a petting zoo tomorrow. It's moist and it always glistens.
No. I'm never going to a fucking petting zoo ever again, actually.
Yeah, I'm done because I'm like, can we go? I'm like, nope.
You know what?
Not
just,
even once.
Just to be safe, I have some lamb in my freezer. I'm going to go home and throw it away because I just don't even.
It's just not worth
Be
it.
mistaken. Right.
It is so weird. Like, it's just never dirty. It's like, how do you do that? A human female, she drinks too much cranberry juice in her for a month.
What?
You got a get a sheep rolling around in the mud and pops up and it's like, put it in.
Oh, God. I'm glad Savage isn't here because I don't know that he could handle all this.
He's like, I eat sheep all the time.
Chris, what the been up, man? What have you been up to?
I like say just at the end of 2019, we closed up JCAA and just trying to figure out where to go from here.
From your Instagram, it looks like you went on vacation.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of just vacation and family stuff, and luckily, we have a little bit of latitude and take some time and just figure it out. I know I want to get back into the intel counter intel game, and I got some stuff in the works there. Don't want to reveal too much, but yeah, I don't know.
Again.
Over the last year and a half, I put in for a couple of police departments, including Minneapolis PD and Broward County Sheriff's Department, a couple of other sheriff's departments, and it just every person that I knew at those entities. Yeah, I wanted to go somewhere where I knew higher echelon people, and before I went into the fold, and every one of them pulled me and sat me aside and just said, "Don't do it. You're in your mid-40s. You're male. You're white. Like, it's just not the right climate to be coming into law enforcement and the civilian side." And so, other than that, man, I just been kind of making the best out of family. And as you guys know, I mean, everything that I did 7 years ago was in order to be a part of my family. So with everything that's unfolded over the last 5 years, it's all led me to a point to where all I get to do is be a dad and, now come on here every once in a while and tell obscene stories and hope my kids never Google it.
Dude, when they turn 18, I'm going to email them links.
So if you guys want to hear, you guys have obviously met my wife. My wife's been on the show. She's a smaller woman, but the joke has always been, I'm not into chicks with big. So here's the story. And I swear on my children's life, this is true. So when my parents' bedroom and my bedroom were upstairs when I was a kid. And one night I thought my mom was having a nightmare. So I went in and asked my mom, like, "Hey, like, are you okay?" And like, she was under the covers and like kind of, startled her. And, she's like, yeah, no, I'm fine. Well, like 15 minutes later, I hear this really weird noise coming out of my parents' room again. And my dad used to travel a lot, and I didn't know that my dad was home because this was later at night. So he'd come home after we'd all gotten to bed. Well, I walk in, my mom's facing the door, my dad's from behind, and her big just
Oh, man.
smacking together like a seal asking for a fish at SeaWorld. And that was it for me. From 13 to present day, I see big I'm like, fuck. If they're bigger than a B cup, it brings that whole trauma back, and I'm just like, oh. So the federal entity that I worked for before I left and started GAC, so typically we would do 9 months in the field, and then when we rotate back, we would do 30 days in some psychological kind of you'd sit with a shrink for 30 days and make sure your reintegration is pretty well. I never wanted to talk about anything overseas or any of that. It was, my mom had a bong that was shaped like a I once saw her seal clapping for a fish with her the whole laundry list of
Jeremy.
So, Chris, do you have any pictures of your mom?
My mom's hot.
Yeah, if you could just like send those over later, that'd be cool.
Yeah. I mean, listen, she's a good-looking lady. It just, nobody needs to see their mom's tits just doing the old symbol fucking.
The symbols. Just.
It did, though. It just reminded, because she was kind of, getting it from behind, doing the little, It was just like a seal, like, give me the fish. I'll do a trick. Give me the fish.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I'll be in my bunk.
But, and then some guys want to hear the cat story. So
Sure, why not?
Oh, I know the cat story. I love the cat story.
Are we good?
Yeah, I think we need to hear the cat story at this point.
Yeah, at this point.
So, back in college, our rugby team was traveling for another tournament. Funny how a lot of the starts with some rugby stuff. But she walked in on her parents' post-sex. Jeez. Was his face all bloody? That Carolina lady, she's all right. She's got them small. She's never gonna seal clap for you guys.
Jeremy. Okay.
Jeremy, I did do a little back tracing on her too. I had to make sure she wasn't a guy.
Yeah, I know. You said.
Okay, so the cat.
So yeah, so we go to we're out of town on this rugby tournament. Stay overnight at the host rugby team's house, and one of the guys comes in the next morning. He's got a box, and it's a box of kittens. And we're like, "What in the are you doing with a box of kittens at like 9:30 in the morning after we were all partying all night long?" And two guys come running out with a 3-man slingshot, just giggling like little chipper fellas. And they go up to the balcony and they just start launching live kittens, 3-man slingshots, right over into the football stadium behind the rugby house. Live cats, 6 of them, just meow. Dude,
That is terrible.
It would be good if there was a football game going on.
there was football games happen on Saturdays in college.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
A Friday-Saturday rugby tournament. It was Friday into Saturday morning. And they were just funneling into the stadium, and one cat didn't make it over into the bleachers. Just bounced off the back of the bleachers. And again, mind you, now this would have been my the end of my junior year of college, and I was beginning my government career at that point. So I was going through my security clearance background check and everything during my last year of college. And when I seen the third cat go and bounce off the outside awning of the stadium and fall onto people, I was like, nope, I'm out of here. But presumably the other 3 took flight as well.
That's terrible.
You know what I learned today? A squirrel, there is no height in which a squirrel will not survive the impact.
You watched the Mark Rober video.
Well, what about a squirrel?
You could launch squirrels like that, and you could throw a squirrel off a skyscraper. It won't kill it.
Well, you might not be able to launch a squirrel like that with a slingshot. It's a terminal velocity thing, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I would like to see that, though.
Yeah, squirrels have the ability to lower their terminal velocity to the point where it's not deadly for them to hit the ground.
Yeah, so
they are their own parachutes.
Mark Rober.
Flare their chute.
Yeah. They're fucking awesome. So, Mark, go watch that Mark Rober video. It'll get the taste of this show out of your mouth. And join a gun-related advocacy group such as Second Amendment Foundation, Firearms Policy Coalition, Gunners of America, and more poignant than ever, we always give out the suicide prevention line. Well, apparently not always. Episode 61 on, we discovered, thank you, Eric JC, because he called us out last week, and I actually went to go prove it. And nope, I was wrong. 61 episodes is when we started giving that out. So anyway, the number to the suicide hotline is 1-800-273-8255 or 1-800-273-TALK, or you can text a message to 741-741. Let's see, Gary. Yep, I'm going to do that stuff next week. I got a couple other things in the fire. And yeah, that's it. Chris, thanks for joining us, man. It's a pleasure as always.
Yeah, I'm going to tie you up for a second here before you go. Just, you touched on the suicide hotline.
Yeah, man.
We've got a couple of guys from the group in the last year, Pop Smoke, and we, you guys. And
God, Jeremy, when he's talking all serious and you throw up a seal picture clapping.
Oh, man. But all kidding aside, yeah, we've lost a few guys from the WLS shooting community over the last year, and
not enough.
I've been very open and honest with this group, and I've had my struggles with some things, and I'm telling you, sitting here looking at you guys and talking to you guys, and there is no alternative better than being here. And your darkest day here is better than not being here. And, you know, you guys know, you know, I think about my guys and a couple of ladies that were lost, you know, over my career. And, you know, I think about them every day, and Memorial Day, you know, highlights that, and it kind of brings it out, and, you know, it stings a little bit more. And, you know, you think about that, and you think about what other people are going through, and it's just, man, like we get on the show and we talk and get into some vulgar stuff, and, you know, we take some jokes at each other, and, you know, we might not all agree with each other, but there's a lot of love in the WLS shooting community. And I know it personally. I've seen it. You know, this community stepped up so many times to help people that have needed help, and I can't say it enough, man. Like, reach out to the community. I'll personally help you. If you're struggling, shoot me a Facebook message. I'll help you. I'll connect you with resources. I know Sean and Nick will, and, you know, and, you know, last thing, you know, I don't know what your sponsorship situation is with ammo sponsors, but if you're an ammo company and you're looking for a place to represent, you need to look at these guys. The biggest part of our business for the 2+ years that we were a sponsor of We Like Shooting was from their group. We Like Shooting supporters are unequivocally loyal. There's no doubt about it. And if you got a good product and you can, you know, put it through the paces with these guys, and you can put their product in front of them, do it, because you won't regret the money that you spend there to advertise with them, because it pays dividends. It broke my heart that where we got to a point to where we couldn't advertise with you guys anymore. And I know that you struggled because we have such a good relationship, and you felt like, how can we bring on another ammo company? And
Look, we offered to let you stay on as an advertiser if you used your mouth, but you wouldn't do it.
That's not true at all.
True.
He would do it easily.
I have public. So in this world here, I'm such a non-confrontational person. I'll offer up my mouth versus violence at any point in time. I would have offered it up.
It was actually the opposite. He was like, "Yeah, here's your check. Also, you want me to do that thing?" No, Chris, no.
It's fine. We don't. After the Indian reservation. What'd you say?
No. I'll even tickle the.
Better.
I don't do anything half-ass. Like, you got to get in there. Little digit up the hole.
Well, dude, I mean, we appreciate that. That was all super nice. But you're our lifelong friend, and we're so happy to have met you through everything. And all that matters is our friendship. And I 100% believe that.
Well, like it's mutual. I care about you guys. There's so many people that I've met through this show and the Cantina and the cult that, you know, I've become close personal friends with. And even for the people that I don't know, you know, if you need something, reach out. But I can tell you, and Sean and Nick know, I made an attempt on my life a little over 3 years ago, and over that is trivial. I let leaving a career and the emptiness of that and some words of somebody that basically told me I made a professional mistake bury me. And so I know, I'm not just, I know. So it's better to be here. And it gets, but anyways.
Yeah, man, we listen, we've all been to those dark places. Not all of us like to admit it. But a lot of us, I
mean, we're admitting one time, like my hand touched Jeremy's ass.
Your finger went in his butthole. What are you talking about? That was the darkest place ever.
He had me on his shoulders. He wasn't wearing a shirt. He was helicoptering, like twisting around with me, like on his shoulders. And I was trying to grab onto something and I touched his crack. Okay, fine. I admit it. It happened. Whatever.
And then your got so scared they tried to fly off your body, and that's why they're so long. They're like, no! We're out of here.
Jeremy actually spun so fast that it stretched Sean's.
Wrong. I've gotten helicoptered wrong every time because the guy was standing in my face going like this with his dick.
No, that's the wrong kind. Don't do that. All right, love you, Chris. Guys, we're going to wrap this up. We're here live every week on Mondays and Wednesdays on demand every day. Go to WeLikeShooting.com/show to subscribe. And Aaron, I think I know what we're gonna say at the end of this. But thanks for listening. Get some medical training and glistening
Chris
sheep.
Is a mopey.
Glistening moist sheep. No cavity.
Wait, there's so many possible things to call the show. So I wrote down seal clap, glistening, bigger than a B cup, and maybe, I don't know, kittens. What do you think?
I'm like seal clap is my personal favorite.
Yeah, I go with seal clap.
All right, seal clap.
It was just Mother's Day in honor of Mother's Day.
Exactly.
You should buy every card you buy her should have a seal on it.
I never walked in on my parents having sex, but yeah, I remember being like a little kid and like crawling into my parents' bed because I had a bad dream, and I just wondered why it was like really hot
and moist,
dude. Yeah. God.
Do you remember the big square Nintendo controllers that used to Yeah. So the first time I got that on my lap, and I was playing the Super Mario Brothers.
Did you think that show was worth $1? Help the cast by visiting lovewls.com.